Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone present here. Let us start with a new topic today. But as usual, before I take up the topic in detail, let me take up your queries. So students, you can put across your queries to me relating to costing. Any topic that you have studied where you are finding some doubts, some issues. Yes, very good morning, Prem. Good morning, Mujahid, Kinari, Minu. Very good morning to everyone. So let us take up your queries, if any, and then we can go ahead. Tell me. Anybody having any doubts, students? Any query with respect to any particular topic, concept? No? No doubts at all. Okay, then let me start. As you can see on the screen, the topic that we are starting today is named as PGBP, right? Correct, students? Correct, na? PGBP. No. Chalo, someone is awake. Then, what about others? Deep sleep? Yet to get out of it? Huh? Students, what is our topic today? PGBP. Okay. It is sounding similar but different. It is JPBP. Now, what is JPBP? It is the abbreviation that we are using for joint products and byproducts. That is JPBP. Fine. Now, when we are talking about this JPBP, joint products, byproducts, before I go to the working part, which is very simple, very mechanical, let me first give you the background from where this concept comes, the linkage of this topic with the other topics of your curriculum. So from where is this coming? Have you all studied process costing? Students, have you all studied process costing? You can type Y for yes, N for no. You can type DN for don't know. You can type MY for maybe. Yes. Process costing done. Okay. It's only 3-4 responses. Others are still in the state of deep sleep. Right? Okay. Good. So after provocation, we have responses. Good. Back to that concept, not in detail, no workings, but just to establish some connection. So we had in process costing separate accounts for each stage of our production, which were called as processes. And since you are doing costing process wise at each stage, that is why it is called as process costing. Now what we studied is You input your raw material here, you did some processing, you got an output. This is not your final product, but it is output as far as the first process is concerned. This output goes to the second process, is treated as input there. Again, you do processing of the second process, applying its labor, maybe additional material, all the overheads. And again, you get output of the second stage, which again is not yet your final product. And then this becomes the input for the last stage, which in my case is process 3. So we are assuming the third process is our last process. Again, you apply the expenses of this particular process, and then you finally get your final output, which is the finished goods of your business, or your final product, your ultimate product, right? Now, once you have got this finished goods, your final product, we have studied how to do costing up to this. So we do stage wise costing. First, we did costing of this. Whatever cost we got over here, that became the main raw material cost here. Then we did costing here of this output. Whatever was the cost became the main raw material cost here. And finally, in the last process, you reach the total cost of your product. Now, this you have studied, and let us say the total cost that you got over here from your process costing is 50 lakhs. So process costing has taught us how to find out the cost up to your last stage where you get your final product or your finished goods. Now, JPBP starts after this conceptually. How? Many times in processes, that is where you are running multiple processes, it is not necessary that you will get only a single final product. Many a times the processes leads to multiple products being produced. That is to say, when you get your final product, let us say the final product is not one item, it is 4 different items. Or let us say from here, you can separate it and make it 4 separate items. I'll give you a very simple example. You are a wafer manufacturing company, something like Lay's. Now, what Lay's would be doing is, firstly, it will be making its basic wafer, basic chips, whatever it is. Let us say even if it is a potato chip, firstly, it will make a basic chip, a basic wafer. And after making that, then it will start adding different flavors to make it plain salted, or then some pav bhaji flavor, or then some mirch masala flavor, or then some other flavor. What happens is, first it has to manufacture or produce its basic wafer, Lay's wafer. And after that, after you get that basic wafer, you will start doing separate processing. Now here when I'm saying finished goods, this is the basic wafer, which I got after 3 stages of processing. So I did the first stage, maybe I prepared the dough. In the second stage, I converted the dough into the shapes. In the third process, I fried it, so I got the final wafers. Now, when I'm saying I got the final wafer over here, since I'm having, let us say in this simple case, 3 different flavors, I'll use the word flavors. So now what I have to do is, I have to separate this and make it 3 or 4 different flavors. So in this particular stage, the finished goods which I have got will from here onwards become 4 separate finished goods. So from here onwards, I will take this part into the next process. Let us call this as A, this as B, this as C, this as D. Then I will take process 4, where I will only take this particular output. Again, it will become input over here. Add that specific masala or do that extra flavoring, and I will get my final output A, which may be plain salted. Then in the next process, I will take this B. So process 5 is only going to deal with B. Again, this basic wafer which I got in process 3, I took here. I did the processing of adding the special flavoring agents, maybe adding some more if I want to mix 2, 3 things and make some special chewed out of it. And I got this second product. Same thing with C, same thing with D. Now, here the final product which I have got appears to be 1, but later on I have to separate it to make 4 different final products out of it. This is the first case scenario where this topic of JPBP, joint products byproducts, is applied. Now, what is the role of this product? What are we going to study in this particular topic? The role of this particular concept is to make you understand how will you do costing of these 4 products. Process costing taught you how to find out the cost of your final product, which you got as 50 lakhs from all the steps that you studied in process costing, preparing equivalent product, finding out cost per unit, etc., etc. You reached up to 50 lakhs. But now this 50 lakhs is a wholesome cost of all 4 types of my chips combined. I need to find out the cost of each separate variety of chip, that is A, B, C, D. Now for that, I have my further processes where I will be getting these final products in their final stages. But when I am dividing the cost, now please mark each and every word. I am saying I am now dividing the cost. I am now apportioning the cost. This 50 lakhs. I need to divide, I need to apportion between A, B, C, D so that I can get the separate cost of A, in which I will add the further expenses, whatever I'm incurring, and I will get my final cost of this final product A, which may be plain salted chips. Similarly for B, once I get the separate cost of B, that will become the input cost here. I will add the respective cost, whatever I've incurred in making the final product B. I will get final product B, which may be the mirchi flavor or the tikha flavor, and so on for C, so on for D. To do this, to get the final cost of each of these final products, I need to do this. What is this? I need to segregate this cost. How to segregate this is the first thing that you study in this topic. That is what is the concept or the chapter of JPBP. Now, some terms that are useful that will be required to do calculations or solving. Let us understand those terms. These 4 products which are emerging out of common process are called as joint products. Acha, students, be patient. Byproducts, I may not be talking about immediately, but slowly and steadily. As you start understanding one thing, I'll go to that concept also. It is nothing very great or very difficult. So these 4 products are my joint products. This 50 lakhs, the cost which I have got is called as my joint cost, because this is the common amount that I know for all the 4 products taken together. This process in which I get the final product, which are now going to be separated into respective products A, B, C, D. This process is called as the split off point. Please focus on the names. They are not at all technical. They are very, very logical. So I have the process where these products would be separated and made separate products. That is called a split off point. The total cost incurred up to this process, which results in this final product, is the joint cost. The different products that will be emerging after this stage is called as the different products that would be emerging at this stage will be called as the joint products. Now, these processes which I will be carrying out After segregating these products into four, these processes, which will be now carried out on each product separately, are called as further processing. So when I will be now working on each product separately, that will be termed as further processing. Is this clear to all? Done? Excellent. Now, let us, instead of studying the subject, let us try to use our own understanding, our own judgment to find out what this chapter can teach or what this chapter is going to teach. Now, as I said, the first thing that this chapter is going to teach you is how to divide this joint cost. That is what is called as apportionment of. So what is apportionment? Basically, you have to divide, you have to distribute this 50 lakhs between these four products so that you can do now independent costing of each product. And anyways, we will require the separate cost for each type of product so that we can fix up separate price. Now, you tell me by using your understanding of general business, forget about costing. Costing is nothing special. It is derived from the general business psychology and philosophy. So if you understand business or think like a businessman, you tell me, how will you segregate, how will you divide this 50 lakhs, that is joint cost, between these products? Tell me. Yes, Rohan, you are right. Okay. So one answer I'm getting from Prem. What about others? How will you divide this 50 lakhs, which is your joint cost, between your joint products? I've got one answer from Prem. Others? Yes, Priyanshi. So we will require ratio. Now my question is, what is the ratio? Almas, give me the name of that ratio. Ananya, what you are saying, is it possible to identify that ratio? Because we have done common processing, like my inputs would be potatoes. So in my first process, I have brought in potatoes on which I have started doing the manufacturing activity. And as a result, in the third process, I have got the chips. Now what you are saying, just tell me, how will I get the ratio of inputs? Yes, you said ratio of inputs. It means I need to find out how much of potatoes are in A, how much of potatoes are in B, how much of potatoes are in C and in D. Is it practically possible? Okay, Kinari has given me the second method and also rather the first one also, which already Prem had suggested. So she has given me two methods. Okay, Rohan, good. Good logic. What about others? Students, understanding subjects of costing and FM does not necessarily requires knowing the technical working. Technical working follows a logic. See, tax, accounting, and maybe even auditing, these are law-based. So you need to first know the law, you need to know the standards, you need to know their statutory rules, then only you can do the solving. But when we come to subjects like costing and FM, these are all logic based. Whatever workings, formattings, formulae you are studying, they have been derived over a period on the basis of the working logics. So if you understand the logics, how these concepts, these formulas have been derived, it will make your study easy and even interesting. So that is why I'm asking you all to chip in with the answers. So my question is, I've explained you what we have to do in this chapter, what this chapter is going to teach you. My question is how to do it. The answer is we have to divide the joint cost between the joint products using some ratio. It is maths, simple maths. You have to take some ratio, divide it. Question is what would be that ratio? Priyanshi, you said by estimation. I'm asking what? What should I estimate? So I've got some very good answers, and let me tell you the answers logic. Understand this. If I have to divide this 50 lakhs between these four products, I need some ratio where I will say this is to this is to this is to this. In this ratio, I will divide this 50 lakhs. But what could be this ratio? The first answer is ratio of quantity. Quantity of what? How much of A is produced, B is produced, C is produced, D is produced. That is what you can easily measure. So quantity of my output. And this is in very simple words called as units method. Now, yes, there was one answer where Ananya said, sir, we can take ratio of inputs also. Possible, but it is difficult to identify actual inputs. But yes, another ratio could be quantity of inputs. But obviously, the most preferred is output because you can measure them, you can calculate how much of A, B, C, D are produced in terms of quantity. So first method is units method. Now, this is the most easiest method. This is the oldest method, but this method has a big flaw. What is that flaw? The flaw is when I'm using this method, that is the units method, particularly the output units method, what will happen? Let us say the quantity of A produced is 10,000, B produced is 80,000, C produced is 12,000, and D produced is 20,000. Correct? What I will simply do is I'll take the ratio as 10, 18, 12, 20, which is the quantities. This will become my ratio, and I will apportion 50 lakhs to all in this ratio. Sounding simple, correct? Please understand what will be the impact. The impact is when I'm using this ratio, the per unit amount that will get apportioned to A, B, C, D per unit, and not total. Total will be different, but the per unit will be same for A, B, C, D. Because what you will do mathematically, 50,000 divided by the total of this. So when you're dividing 50 lakhs by the total of quantity, you're getting per unit quantity some figure that you will apply to all the quantities. So mathematically, you get the per unit cost same for A, B, C, D. Please understand. Now this is perfect in my present example. Because in my present example, what I've manufactured A, B, C, D are all chips, wafers. What is changing between them is the flavors, which you are going to do later in the next stage, where you will be adding the specific flavor, maybe some coloring agent, some maybe extra other articles to be mixed to make it some chewda or something. That is okay. But at least at this stage, in my present example, A, B, C, D are all same. It is exactly the same wafer, only now you are going to make 4 different flavors. So you have taken different quantities out and put it in further processes to get different flavors. But at this stage, at split off stage, all are same. So using units method is perfect. Correct? Now I'll give you another example, another real life example. So first real life example I gave is of potato chips. Now the second example is of crude oil, from which we get petrol, diesel, kerosene, etc. So now my input is the crude oil. Who is this businessman? Who is this company? It is the oil refineries, all this Indian Oil, Bharat Petroleum, Reliance. What do they do is, in different stages, they refine this crude oil. And as they go on refining, they get different products from their refining. Now I will name these products. A is, let us say, petrol. B is diesel. C is kerosene. And D, here is your byproduct, which is grease. But we are not yet getting into what is byproduct and how it is different. Let us for the time being keep that differentiation aside. Let us first understand the basic of this topic. Now, in this particular example, in this another second real life case, if I apply the units method to segregate the joint cost, which I have got up to the split off point, again, what will happen? The per unit cost which I am giving to petrol, diesel, kerosene, grease will be same. Now here you will find that this is not a very appropriate approach. This is not this is not completely incorrect. That is the units method. If the products are same, like my first example of wafers or chips. But when the products are like this, that is the joint products that you are getting are very much distinct in nature, in their quality, in their attributes, and obviously in their cost and price, using units method will give me a wrong answer. So the second method or the second category of method is market value methods. Now, when I take market value, in simple words, sales value. Remember, not selling price. I will not take per unit price. I will take the total sales value or the total market value. Then what will happen when I'm taking the total sales value of A, of B, of C, of D, sales value, not quantity. So I will multiply this by the respective selling prices. So I know the quantities, I'll multiply it by the respective selling prices. I'll get the sales value or the market value of these. Now, when I use this ratio, what will happen? The product like petrol, whose market price is higher, right, multiplied by the quantity, will get a higher share. Another product which may have a very low market value like kerosene, multiplied by the quantity, will get the lower share. So what will happen when I apply the market value method? I'm considering quantity also because quantity is there, but I'm also considering the selling price because I've taken the market value, which is multiplication of quantity into price. Now what will happen? The product having a higher market value will get a higher share. Obviously, the products whose quantity is greater will also get a higher share because of higher quantity, but it will also be having the essence of market price. Now, in this case, what will happen? The per unit price which is getting apportioned to petrol and which is getting apportioned to diesel will not be same. Definitely the per unit cost apportioned to petrol would be higher than the per unit cost of diesel. And this is what we actually wanted. So this is where you have broadly two categories of methods: unit methods, market value method. Within market value, we have three methods that we will discuss. Now, besides these two methods, we have some other methods also, which are not so commonly used. So for the time being, I'm calling them as other methods. Again, there are two methods in this. We will study both of them. So these are the different methods by which you can apportion the joint cost to your joint products. I hope this is understood by all. Anybody having any doubts or questions, please feel free to ask. Students, any doubts? No doubts? Great. Now, moving ahead, what is next? After you understand this basic point, now we have to go ahead and understand each of these methods in details and see practically how the joint cost will get apportioned by each of these methods. But before I go to that, I said that we have to do different things in this particular chapter. So first thing that I have to do in this chapter is apportion the joint cost by one of these methods. Correct? Now, the second thing that would be asked of me in this chapter is they will ask me to determine the profits that each product would be earning. Now the question is, how do we find out profits? Simple equation is sales value minus total cost. Now cost, I have apportioned in the first step using any of the methods which I will select. Cost, I have apportioned. So once I know the cost, the only second thing I need to know is the sales value, which would be given in the question. In fact, sales value is one of our methods also. So simply, when you deduct both these things, you will get the profit that each product A, B, C, D are earning. Correct? Now, once you get this profit, the question that will be asked is that firstly, your profits can be computed at two stages. So you will be required to determine the profits either at both the stages or at one of the stages which is asked in the question. Now, what are both these stages? Firstly, you have to determine profit if your products are sold at split off point, or profits if your products are sold after further processing. So profits can be computed at two stages: at split off point if sales is happening, or after further processing if sales is happening. Now somebody will ask me, sir, what is this? See, understand this. In my example, process 3 was your split off point. That is, it was a point where your finished goods is now identified as different products, which may be either the ABCD chips or petrol, diesel, kerosene, etc. Now, my business is such that I can either sell this product immediately. That is, as I got the petrol from the refining stages, I can sell it. As I get the diesel from my refining stages, I can sell it. First option is I can sell it here itself. Here means once I get these products at my split off point. So as I get these products from my processing, I got petrol, I can sell it. I got diesel, I can sell it. Or second is I can bring the petrol in the next process where I will do some processing on this petrol, make it more better, giving better mileage, giving better pickup, and this will now become a more superior petrol called as speed. So when you get to petrol pumps, you are given both the options. You can buy the regular petrol also, or you can buy the slightly more better version of the petrol, which is speed. Same thing is for diesel. I can either sell the diesel as it is, or I can do some further processing, adding some power boosters, etc., which will give my heavy vehicles a better pickup, a better performance, and this is now named as power. Now see, brand wise, they are giving different names. I'm giving an example of one of the brands. So you get both these options at the petrol pumps. Means what? Your product is saleable at the split off point also, or your product could be further processed, made a better version of it, more advanced, more superior, with more features, and sold as it is also. That is after further processing also. So since your product can be sold at two stages, again, it is not necessary each and every product can be sold at two stages, but wherever the products are capable of being sold at two stages, they will ask you to find out profit. And then since now you have two stages to sell the product, that is, you have option, the next question will come is, what should I do out of these? Decision making will be whether products should be sold at the split off stage itself, right? Or they should be further processed and sold. So I have my choice. I can sell it immediately once I get the products at split off, or I can process it further, make a better version of it, and sell it after further processing. Both these options I have. So I have to determine, they will ask me to determine the profits. And then the third thing that they may ask me in the question is to give them a suggestion, give them your opinion as to when the product should be sold. Obviously, the logical answer for this third part is that I will compare where I am getting higher profits. Now, it may happen for some products, the profits are higher at split off stage. So I'll give them the decision that these two products should be sold at split off itself. Where the profits are greater at after further processing stage, I will say, okay, sell these products after further processing. So these are the broad three things that you would be asked for in this chapter. So first, apportion the joint cost using one of the methods. At times they will ask you to do it by 2 or 3 methods. Determine the profits, which can be at 2 stages. They may ask you both or one of them, and they may ask you to do decision. This is the whole syllabus of this chapter. Once you understand this, then we can proceed to actually solve this. And let me tell you, one of the most simplest chapter solving wise is this, because you require simple calculation. First, apportionment will require doing ratios, finding out the cost by dividing it in ratios. And second is again simple, take the sales value, subtract the cost, you get the profit. Third one, no working required, you have to simply compare the profits and see where the profits are higher, and that would be your answer. Bunnypreet, but a split off is a name given. Split off is that process where you start getting your final products separated. So till now I was preparing chips. So my first stage was potato. In the first process, I took potato. I did peeling off, I did cleaning, I made the shapes of the potato. In the second, I did some, I gave it the shape of the chips. I made some different shapes out of it. In third, I did frying. I got the final chips, the basic chips. Now from here, I will be separating these products by making them separate flavored chips, taking them in separate process. So this process where your common raw material on which you are doing processing commonly will now become separate, because now you have got some product, and that product now you'll be using separately further is called as the split off point. In the second example of crude oil, when I'm refining the crude oil, I start getting these products, petrol, diesel. So as I go refining, I will get a product which I know is called as petrol. I'll get another product which is I know called as diesel. So when I start getting the different products from the same process, I call them that process as the split off point. Correct? Priyanshi is asking, sir, does clothes, shirts of different color covered here? See, beta, it is simple. You have to first check whether those different colored shirts are firstly arising out of a common process. Now, if it is simply coloring, you can say so, yes. Because in coloring, or let us say in fabric making, the processes are, it starts from knitting the cotton, making it fabric, which is called as gray. Gray means it does not have any color of its, it only has its own color, which is slight muddish grayish. And then it is going for giving it different shades or colors. Maybe after that, it is further going for making different prints. So up to the gray cloth, you can say it is falling in this chapter. And after that, when you send it for different colorings, it will get split off into different colors. So yes, this example you can extend to different industries, different products, wherever same methodology is followed. Is this fine? Understood by all? What is this whole topic about? What are the different types of workings you are supposed to do? Now, the answering is simple. In fact, the format is very straightforward. We have simple tables showing all these calculations. But what is going to be tricky in this particular chapter 1 is understanding the data given, because they will give you all the data, everything about all these products. You should be able to segregate the data as to what is related to what. Many times, to complicate your answering, they may purposefully start using some technical terms They may start giving the technical names of the products, of the processes, but you have to understand it is having no relation to us, because for us, an input is input and output is output, whatever technical or scientific name they may give. So to make it difficult, they may start using some different jargons, but you have to understand that we should not be affected by that. So the only thing that would be difficult, if any, in this chapter would be the language and the method in which the question is designed. Solution will not go beyond the formats that we are studying or we are going to study. Fine. Also, one very important thing that some students may find confusing is that you are given multiple methods. Now, if in a same sum you are asked 2 or 3 methods, you have to be very clear about what method is what. Many times student gets confused between the methods. They apply the wrong method. That again gives them the disadvantage in the exam. So this is where this particular question has to be dealt with very patiently, because it is a very scoring and a very easy chapter. So you have to ensure that your marks are full, and also it is not very time consuming once you are understanding the entire concept of this. So let me take you to a very simple, a starter practical problem before I take you to the difficult ones. Again, this is shared on the portal. You can download it from there. Now, to start with, let us take a simple example. Simple means the same type of examples are there further also. This is simple in terms of the language used. So there is a company called as Sun Moon. It produces these different quantities of 5 products A, B, C, D. And all these products are arising out of common processing. Now, they can sell it immediately here itself, except product D, because product D can be sold only after further processing. So again, see, this is how the nature of products could be different. Some could be sold immediately, some would require further processing. That is okay, fine. And then they have given you the sale prices of these products after further processing. So except product D, all other can be further processed. Product D is such that it cannot be further processed. So you have to be, see, these all things are not at all very difficult in the solving. Whatever they say, you have to follow that. Now, what is the further data given? The further data given is that the company incurs these costs in making these joint products. Firstly, the cost is raw material cost, and then the cost is on converting this raw material to final product, which is all labor, overheads, etc. Now they have given you some method. For the time being, we will ignore the method. Why? Because I want you all to understand how all the methods work. So this first question, we will not solve by that one single method. We will solve this question by all the methods so that we can understand how all the methods work. See, this is also an exam problem, but this is the simpler one. Now, what further data is given? That for further processing these products, these are the costs which are incurred. So please understand what data you will be given or what would be requiring in this chapter. First is the data for joint cost. So this data will help you identify or calculate your joint costs. Then the data about the product, like the quantity of the product, the selling prices. Now both selling prices are given. This one is at the split off point. This one is after further processing. That's it. We only require this much data. And then since the products are being further processed, the further processing cost. Besides this, you do not require any additional information for solving this JPBP sum. Correct? Now, what are we supposed to do is, for the time being, I'll keep this question aside. I want you to solve this sum by all the methods. So we'll be solving the sum by all the methods so that we will understand by comparison what is the difference between all the methods. So what we'll do first is, in my first part, I will apportion the joint cost using one of the methods. In the second part, we will find out profit if the products are sold at the split off point itself. In the third part, we'll again find out profits if the products are sold after being further processed. And in the fourth part, we will do the decision making so that we can give them the suggestion. If you see here also, they have asked the same thing. First, they're asking you to prepare a statement showing the income forecast, that is the profit, assuming none of the products are further processed. So they are asking you to do this one. In the second part, again, what they are saying, again, give me statement showing income forecast, assuming that these four products are further processed. So they are asking you to give you profit if you are selling after further processing. Now, please understand, for finding out profits, you have to first do this. So even though they have not expressly asked you to apportion the joint costs, you have to apportion the joint costs because these costs are total for all the products combined. If I want to find out profit product wise, I have to first apportion this cost to the products. So this is going to be obvious. And then they have also asked you decision making. How? Can you suggest any other production plan whereby the company can maximize the profit? Now, what will be any other production plan? In first plan, you are selling all at split off. In second plan, you are selling all after further. Now, in this suggestion, we have to give them the decision that, okay, you do not further process all. You only further process these two or three and remaining you sell them as split off itself. This will be your suggestion or the alternate production plan. So these are the only four things maximum that is asked in any question of JPBP. What we will do is we will solve each method, that is we will find out all these four answers under each method, and the solving is simple and it is a simple structured process. So this also is an exam problem, but a very simple one. So let us start. Now the first thing that I will do is I will first compute how much is the joint cost. So first starting point of the answer is calculation of joint cost. Now in some sums, they would be simply saying, like in my example, which I explained 50 lakhs, they would be given straightforward. In some questions like the one which we are solving, they will give you, okay, this much was raw material, this much is wages, this much is overheads, etc. You have to simply add up. So here they have given me some raw material cost. They have given me my manufacturing expenses. Once I add up both of these, I will get my total joint cost. So how much is this? 35.9 lakhs and 5.47 lakhs. Correct? 35.9, 5.47. So total is coming to 41 lakhs 37,000. This is my total joint cost. Now, in the exam question, they would be asking you to solve it by one or two methods, maximum three methods, not all, because then it will be time consuming. We will be solving this one question by all methods for our practice. So let me start with the first method, which is the physical units method, that is based on the units of output. Correct? Now always your first statement is what? Statement of apportionment of joint cost. So in my first statement, in my first working, I will simply divide this joint cost between my products using one of the ratios. So particulars, and then the name of your products. Correct? In this, I will simply write in the particulars joint cost. In bracket, I will write apportion in ratio of. Now this will change in every sum. Here it is units. I will write down the ratio of units. And then simply on my calculator, I will divide this joint cost in the ratio of units. Now what is my units? It is 2 lakhs It is 30,000, 25,000, 20,000, 75,000. Okay. So 2 lakh units, correct? 30,000 units, 25,000 units, 20,000 units, 75,000 units. So my simple ratio is 2 lakhs is 200, 30,000 is 30, 25, 20, and 75. I hope this is clear. I'm sure students who are very good at maths will say, sir, let us reduce it further, divided by 5, divided by 20, 30. You can do whatever you want, but I do not like to complicate the solving. So for me, the simple ratio is 200 is to 30 is to 25 is to 20 is to 75. Now you have to divide this amount, that is 41 lakhs 37,000 in this ratio. Once you do that, you will get the independent cost of each product A, B, C, D, E. That is my first step. You have to start doing that on your calculators. Till then, I'll be just writing my other formats. Once you have calculated, start posting your answers. So, simple names, statement of income forecast if all products are sold at split off, statement of income forecast if products are sold after further processing, right? Students, give me your answers. Okay, I have got one answer. Ten, 15. Start posting your answers. Obviously, for this, you should parallelly solve along with me. So I've got some answers. I'm posting it here. So the joint cost for A is 2364. For B is 3,54,600. For C is 2,95,500. For D is 2,36,400. And for E, the answer posted is 886,500. Please confirm, students, if you all have the same answers. Same answers you all have. What is keep it in lakhs, Rohan? Why are you converting? Why not to convert? Let me write full answers. Now, if I start putting in decimals, it will be more confusing. So, the first part of my answer is computing the individual cost of each product, which is the simple thing to do is apply the ratio. Now, what will be the ratio is the method that the question will give you. First method which we are using here is the units method. Fine. Now, once I get my cost of each product separately, now I can find out the profits. So I'm using the language asked in the question, statement of income forecast. And first is if I'm selling all the products at the split of stage itself. So it means that I'm not further processing any of them. Now, if I have to find out profit, as I said, the answer for profit is simple. It is sales minus total cost. So I'll find out the sales value at split off point. Now, how can you do this? Simply, you are knowing the units multiplied by the selling price at the split off stage. So when you multiply units by the selling price given for the split off stage, you will get the sales value at split off stage. From this, subtract. Now, what is my total cost up to the split off stage? It is nothing but the joint cost, because joint cost is the cost which I incur up to the split off stage. Now, this joint cost I've already segregated in my above step. So I know the cost here. And this I will get my net profit income. You can use whatever terminology the question is using. Now let us find out the sales value. Please be very particular with your calculations. Don't mess up simple calculations. So you are given the selling prices. Please read carefully which price it is. Is it as split off point or after further processing? Because there would be two prices. You should not mix. So first is 2 lakhs quantity into 17. So it is 34 lakhs. Then 30,000 into 13. Correct, na? So it is 390. 25,000 into 8. Correct? How much will be 25,000 into 8? $20,000 into 10. And 75,000 into 14. 7, 10, 50. Please cross check and confirm. So 1036 is my profit here. 45,400 is the profit here. I think it will be 35. Here 95,500 is the loss. Here 36,400 is the loss. $36,500 lakhs. $36. Correct? Please check. So these are my profits if I'm selling the products at the split off stage itself. Second thing I have to do is again find out profits if I'm selling the products after further processing. Now same, how will you find out this? So first find out sales value after further processing, which will be units multiplied by selling price after further processing. Now from this you have to deduct the total cost. Now firstly you have already incurred joint cost, and also for doing further processing you have to incur the further processing cost as well. So I will deduct that cost also, because that is my cost till further processing. Then I will get my net profit or the income. Correct? Joint cost, I already have it a portion. Further processing costs are given in the sum 1250, 150, 50, 150. So it is 1250. I think 150, 50, gain 150. Let us cross check. 1250, 150, 50, 150. Correct. So D is not further processed, so there is no further processing cost given for D. Now find out the sales value after further processing. How? Quantity into this selling price. So 2 lakhs into 25 will be 50 lakhs. 30,000 into 17. 510. 25,000 into 12. D cannot be further processed. It means it will remain at split off only. So you will be selling it at split off only. So for D, the selling price would obviously of the split off point itself. So the sales value of D remains same because D cannot be further processed. And last 75,000 into 20. Is it 15? Correct. So now you can calculate your profit if these products are further processed. 36. Please cross check and confirm. 1036. 3,500. Correct? Please check. Very good. Now, in the fourth part, where I have to take decision about the alternate production plan. See, practically, there is no format as such. You have to simply compare both these profits. Like you can see the profit at this stage is this, and at this stage is this. So you can very simply say what one should do. But just to give it a proper presentation, we will take net profit after further processing. I will copy this net profit. I will take net profit at split off, which we calculated above. Five, 400. Now I'll show it as a difference. Why showing it as a difference? So that I can bring out that how much will be my extra benefit or loss by doing the further processing. So the difference between the two, I'm calling it as extra benefit from further processing. So if I further process here, I get extra 3,50,000. If I do further processing here, I incur a loss of 30,000. I hope you are getting this. If I do further processing here, I get a benefit of 50,000 because my loss has reduced. Here there is no effect because anyways D cannot be further processed. And here, if I'm doing further processing, I'm getting a benefit of 3 lakhs. So as you can see, by doing further processing, I get extra benefit positive here, here, here. So what should be my decision or suggestion? I will say here you further process, further process, further process. And here you sell it at the split off stage itself. Students, are you getting this? So my answer or my suggestion would be A, C, E are to be further processed. B and D should be sold. Sunil, we are not saying that we can only sell ACE. We will sell all the products, Sunil. The point is ACE would be sold after further processing. B and D would be sold at split off point itself. Correct? Okay, Rohan, I've corrected this. 163,500 is not a loss, right? Okay. So did you get this, students? See, the solving is simple. It is straightforward. It is easy. Not something which is very tricky, very technical, right? So this is our first method, which is sales, sorry, not sales, which is physical units method. Now we go to the second category of methods, which is the market value or the sales value method. Priyanshi is asking, sir, how can we judge for D that further processing cannot be done? See, but you can see from the language of the sum. The sum clearly says that D cannot be further processed. Second thing is, when they are giving selling prices after further processing, they have given only for A, B, C, and E, not for D. These are the two clear-cut indications in the sum that your product cannot be further processed. So now we go to our second method. In second method, we will apportion the cost in terms of or using the ratio of market value. Now remember, students, all our workings are going to be same. So first is statement of apportionment of joint cost. Same. Particulars A, B, C, D, E. All further statements would be same. Statement of income, and fourth is decision making. Now, what will change is firstly, now the joint cost that I have to apportion will be apportioned in ratio of. Now, what is the name of the method? The name of the method is the ratio is market value at split off point. In simple words, you have to take the sales value at split off point as the ratio. Now, that is what you already have. See, this is your sales value at split off point. Now, this value becomes my ratio. So now what is my ratio? It is 3,400 is to 390 is to 200 is to 200 is to 1050. So students, this is your ratio. And using this ratio, again apportion the same joint cost of 41,30,000. Correct? Chalo, find out. Sure, I'm waiting for your answers. Only one answer. What about others? So my first answer that I'm having is 26,84,313. See, 1 or 2 rupees here and there is fine. The second is 307,906. Third is 157,901. Again 157,901. And then 8289. Just check if it is 8979. Perfect. Please check if you all are having same answer. Correct? Any questions, doubts? Now, you will go to the other workings. Now, interestingly, what will happen, students, in your other workings, this is changing. What is changing? Joint cost. So the profit that you will get will now be different. Again, in this third working, what is changing is your joint cost. So the profit that you are getting will change. Similarly, here, your profits that you are getting will change. So now what you have to do is, you have calculated some joint cost. Just substitute those joint cost figures in these workings. Like now here, my joint cost is 26,84,313, 307,906, 157,901, 157,901, 828979. Same thing in the next table also. Again, in the third working also same. I'll put down these joint cost. Right, students? So the same workings will repeat. Only the values are different. The costs are different. So obviously the net profit would be different. Chalo. You have to find out the next three answers. So format is same. Just now that we will be taking the new joint cost that we have calculated, because every method will give you a different joint cost. And because of that, every method will have a different figure of profit. Chalo. Very good, Naina. Sure. people start calculating the answers and start posting it. Good. Wow. I'm just putting down the answers that I'm getting. Others may just cross confirm. So it is 715, 687, 82094, 42099. It will be repeated. And 221021. Profits at split off. Now give me profits after further processing. Banipreet, but I am not getting what you are saying. Please check calculation. Have you taken 3,07,000 or have you taken maybe if you are getting 87,000 something as the profit, it means you have taken 3,05,000. Please check while finding out the profits. Sure, I'm posting the next profit. So it is 1065, 687. 52094. So these are the profits have been informed after further processing. बनीप्रीत बेटा, आपने जो जॉइंट कॉस्ट लिखा है वो गलत लिखा है, आप जॉइंट कॉस्ट करेक्ट करिए. You have written wrong figure of joint cost, that is why you are getting the same wrong answer. आपने इधर जो जॉइंट कॉस्ट लिखा है ना बेटा, वो आप चेंज करिए. आपने यहाँ पे जॉइंट कॉस्ट 3,02,000 लिखा है, जो कि 3,07,000. Priyanshi beta, profits cannot be same. It is the extra net benefit that you are getting will be same. So even though these profits are different, I am getting this part exactly same. The decision is also same and the differential figure is also same. Why? That we'll understand. So the fourth part, the final answer, that is the extra net benefit and the ultimate answer of the decision to be taken remains same, despite of having different profit figures. Why? That we'll understand. Students, I hope you all have understood this. Yes? Is it understandable, manageable, clear, and what you all like to hear? Easy? Okay. Now, before we take our break, there is a small 4 to 5 minutes of deliberation, which will be there from BOS side. And after that, you can have a 5 minutes break and then you will resume with the remaining methods. So, Mayank ji, I think you have joined. Sen Gupta sir is also here. Mayank ji, you can take a hit from here. Mayank ji, are you there? Students, just a minute. Students, let's do one thing. Let's take a break. And once we rejoin, maybe in 5 minutes, you all will come back. And then maybe you have a small discussion around 4 to 5 minutes. So we join at 8:35 in 5 minutes. Sir, start कर दीजिए break. So students, now we go to our third method, which is again part of market value method only. Now this method is not much used, but academically we'll just see the method, solve one sum. So market value after further processing. So our next method is, now you'll be apportioning joint cost taking market values, but this time the market value, that is the sale value, will be the sale value after further processing. So again, I'll write joint cost apportion in ratio of. Now, what is my ratio now? Now my ratio is this sale value. So sale value after further processing, so 50 lakhs, 5, 10, 3, 2, again 15, right? So students, Mayank ji is here. So I will hand over the platform to Mayank ji. Yes, Mayank ji, you can take ahead.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning, student. Let me give you a quick introduction of myself. I am CMA from Board of Studies. So I'm here to guide you a little bit about this subject and specifically for this topic. So first of all, thank you for joining this class. So sir is already teaching you joint product and byproduct. So I want to tell you some of the important points in this chapter, or you may say some of the important areas you may practice a lot, like the method of apportioning joint cost over joint product as well as the byproduct. So when you are apportioning the joint cost, you will always practice a lot of questions, and some of the methods are physical unit methods, net realizable value at split of point methods, market value at the point of separation, market value after further processing, average unit cost method, contribution margin method, and other technical estimates. One area where student faces problem is the NRV method, which is one of the most important method, which is basically nothing a reverse calculation. So you should focus on NRV method as well as other method. And for apportioning the joint cost also, you will use the NRV method, standard cost and technical estimates, comparative prices, reuse basis, etc. So, and one important area in byproduct cost is how is the treatment of byproduct cost when they are of a small value, when they are of high value, and when they require further processing. In this, you maybe ask a theoretical question or maybe ask for a practical question. So you should focus on this area. And if you have any doubt regarding the chapter or regarding the any in cost and management subject, you may ask any uh, general question you want to ask. You may ask. And one more important thing in this subject is practice. Practice a lot. You should do at least 2 times of the study material by hand, and then you may audit all the questions study material. You may practice the RTPs, MTPs, past year question papers, and at least try to do once of by hand, uh, 2 years MTPs and RTPs by hand. Then you may do audit of these questions. So if you have any general query about the subject, you may ask me. Yes, Banipreet.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
गुड मॉर्निंग।
सर एम्प्लॉय कॉस्ट चैप्टर से एक डाउट था, मतलब प्रैक्टिकल प्रॉब्लम में जो क्वेश्चन थी स्टार्टिंग में, वहाँ पे सोल्यूशन में वर्कर्स जैसे 10,000 थे, तो उन्होंने सब वर्कर्स की कॉस्ट निकाल के वहाँ पे उन्होंने निकाली थी हेस्ले और रोवन सिस्टम से। मैंने मतलब सोल्यूशन देख के बिना ट्राई करा, मैंने पर वर्कर से निकाली, तो वो चीज़ थोड़ी अलग आई, पर अर्निंग पर आवर सेम आया, तो वहाँ पे कोई डिफरेंस आएगा क्या क्वेश्चन में आंसर में ऐसे?
आप मुझे एक बार CMA डैश इंटर पे एक बार इसका मेल करना, आप सॉल्यूशन अपना कि आपने सॉल्यूशन का कैसे करा था, उसकी एक बार फोटो मुझे मेल करना CMA डैश इंटर @ICAI.in। मैं
सर
उसमें
फिर से बता दीजिए एक बार।
CMA डैश
यस सर।
इंटर
यस सर।
@ICAI.in।
ओके सर।
तो आप एक बार मुझे सॉल्यूशन उसकी फोटो भेजना और क्वेश्चन नंबर कौन सा है आपका वो भी आप मुझे भेजना।
ओके सर।
एनी अदर डाउट?
नो सर।
If you have any doubt, anyone, you may mail me on cma-inter@ic.in. You may please note. Vishal sir, you may take over the class over here.
Sure, Mayank ji.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. So, fine. Give me the answer, students. So now my ratio is the sale value after further processing. So 50 lakhs, 5 lakh 10,000, 3 lakhs, 2 lakhs, and 15 lakhs. So my ratios are 5,000, 510, 300, 200, 1,500. I know you can reduce it. That is your choice. I always prefer keeping things simple because when I go to reduce it, even if I make a smallest of error, it will create disaster because my entire question will go wrong. So that is why I prefer keeping it whole. So students, give me this figure. Prem beta, you are right. The analysis that you have given is perfect. Okay. So I have some figures. So the joint cost given are 27, 54, 327, 280, 941, 165. Those who have calculated the joint cost, please go to the next step, find out the profits. Now that is going to be a routine to find out all these 3-4 things. So these are the joint costs. Now go ahead to find out profits. Come on, give me now the profits. So simply now these figures will change in the profit workings. The cost allocation changes. So obviously the net profit that you are getting will change. Sure. So make it fast, students. Okay. Naina, which profit have you given? Acha, Rohan. That's why I'm saying the profit given by Rohan and Naina is not matching. Okay, so Rohan's profit is after further processing. Lit off. Correct. Okay. So again, I'm putting down the values which I have got. Others may please confirm. So the profits which I'm given after further processing is 995, 673, 79,059, 84, 741, 89, 827, 523, 702. Then I think these are the profits at split off 645, 673, 109, 059, 34, 741, 89, 827. Correct, students. Same figures you all are also having. And then again, when you go to the last working, same differences, same end result. That is a decision. The same difference and obviously the same decision. Correct? Should I proceed further? Rohan is asking, sir, how come the difference is same? Think. I have been already given answer regarding this by Prem. I give you all the opportunity to work out this mystery. Correct? Now let me take you to the fourth method, which is again a market value method. And this method is called as the net realizable value method. In short, NRV method. Now, for the purpose of apportioning joint costs by this method, we need to find out the ratio of NRV. Now, for this ratio, we have to do one small working. That working is, we'll take sales value after further processing. We have it. From this, we will subtract our further processing cost. This difference is my NRV. So this small working I have to do to first determine the NRV. So what is this working? Sales value after further processing. So it is 50 lakhs. Then it is 510. Then it is 3 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 15 lakhs. From this further processing cost, 1250, 150, 50 dash 150. Now when you subtract this, what is left is your NRV. So 3750, 360, 250, 2 lakhs, 1350. Now this is my ratio. So how do we find out NRV? Sales value after further processing minus further processing cost, NRV. So now my ratio is 3750 is to 360 is to 250 is to 200 is to 1350. Correct? And then the remaining workings follow. So the new part in this fourth method is we have to first do a small working to determine our NRV. NRV is calculated by this simple formula. I'll give you the theoretical formula also later. But practically, this is the formula that is required. By this formula, the difference that you get is what is NRV. And now, applying this ratio, you will get your answer. Chalo. Do the working. Give me the apportioned joint cost by this ratio, and then the other workings of profits as well. So I've started getting answers. Let me post it so that others may check. So now the joint cost which I'm getting by this method is 26.25, 252, 175, 140, 945. Chalo, find out profits. So the profits that I'm getting, I'll just put down. So after further processing, the profits are 11,25,000 1,08,000, 75,000, 60,000, 4,05,000. The profits at split off are 775, 138, 25, 60, 1,05,000. Correct? Do you all have these answers? Yes, Rohan, the difference is same. That is where I want your inputs. Good. Now, in all these four methods, what we did was we computed or we apportioned the joint cost. We computed profit at split off, profit after further. And by comparing these profits, we came to the fourth part, that is decision making. Now, it may happen that a question may be requiring only the decision making part, nothing else. They don't want you to apportion joint costs. They don't want you to find out profits. They simply say, suggest a suitable plan. Or they will simply ask directly that whether this particular product should be further processed or sold at split off point. It means they are directly asking for the fourth part. In this particular case, when they will be asking you only for the fourth part, the question will carry hardly weightage of 4 marks instead of 8 to 10 marks, what normally we get for all the four parts. Now, first choice is you can still apportion your joint cost using any one of the methods. So apportion joint costs, profit at split off, profit after further, and then decision. But then it would be too time consuming. And even the sum is not having that weightage. For 4 marks, if you spend so much of time, it would be more than 15 minutes. That is not worth. So do I have a direct method for this? The answer is yes. So I'm preparing again statement of decision about further processing. So in short, I'm directly going to the fourth part instead of finding out joint cost and profits and profits. Now, how this could be done? Let us see. So what I will do is, if I simply have to give them the decision without going into the detailings, I follow this format. What is this format? Sales value after further processing minus sales value at split off point difference. So here I am taking difference of both the sales values. Let me call this difference as extra revenue from further processing. So this is the extra revenue which I will get if I am further processing. From this, I will deduct the extra cost of further processing. What is this extra cost? This extra cost is the further processing cost. Now, when I reduce this further processing cost, what I get is the extra benefit from further processing. So what I'm doing is Priyanshi, but I'm not giving you a short way, because if the question asks for a long way, that is all 4 workings, you have to give all 4 workings. When the question is asking only for the 4th working, then I'm saying don't waste time in the first 3 workings because they are not going to give you marks. Then you can use this straight working. So please understand, Priyanshi, for everything you will have both the approaches. Depending upon what is the requirement of the question, how much weightage it is carrying, you have to decide which approach you follow. So here we follow the direct approach because the question is only asking us for decision making and the weightage is also very low. So let us take the answers. So I'll put down the sale values, 50 lakhs, 510, 3 lakhs, 2 lakhs, and 15 lakhs. From this, I reduce sales value at split off point. So these are my sales values. See, you'll get this from all the figures that you have in the question. We have derived these figures from the questions only. Then further processing cost, 1250, 150, 50, 150. Now see the magic. Rohan, you're asking me, sir, how come you are getting difference in all the 4 methods? Same. See this, you will be even more astonished. Now, what is the difference I'm getting here? 350 positive. What is the difference I'm getting here? 30 negative. 50 positive. Correct? Is it the same difference? Right now? Same difference, same decision. You will further process this, further process this, further process this. These two split off. So this is the direct method. I'm calling it as the direct method. There is no such name given. This method you have to adopt, you have to follow whenever your question is only asking you to suggest a parallel plan of production without going into the detailings of independent profits or joint cost apportionment. So this is how you will save a lot of time in the exams. But this method is to be adopted only where the question is on one point, that is decision making. Where the question asks you other details also, you have to go to all the workings. Is this fine with all? Clear hai? Pakka? Understood? SP. Split off. Sir, I was first thinking of that the profit should be in percentage form for better comparison, but now get why this can't happen. Because only cost is changing with different methods. Yes, correct. So see, many things you realize over a period of time. So that is why in your studies and even in your life, you have to be slightly philosophical. You should be patient. You should go to the depth. Only then you will get the biggest realization. And this realization will take you a long way. Correct? So now what else? So we studied 4 methods. Now there are 2 more methods, but before I go to those 2 methods, because they are not very common ones, let me now talk about something which is byproducts and how byproducts are to be treated. So byproducts treatment in cost accounting. Now, firstly, students, what are byproducts? Practically, byproduct is your waste, which is arising from the manufacturing activity. So we did processing, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Now, when you're doing processing, even in process costing chapter, if you remember, you got waste, which was over there called as normal loss or abnormal loss. Now, this waste can be saleable in the market, not like a waste, but like a product. So for you, it is a waste, but for market, this is also a saleable product. What Naina is asking is, this question is available on portal. If you're asking whether I have uploaded the sheet, yes, yesterday evening I have uploaded that. So you may be getting it, if not by now, by today. So coming back to the point. So when your waste is a product in the market, then instead of calling it as a waste, because then you yourself are degrading it, we call it as a byproduct. Now, if you want a practical real life example, I was taking example of petroleum. While processing petroleum products, you get a waste. See, crude oil is very thick. What these oil refineries do, as the name suggests, they refine to make it more finer, and that is where you get petrol, which is the most finest form. Slightly thicker is diesel and slightly heavier is kerosene. But when you are removing this greasy part to make it more finer, to refine it further, to get the most finest version, this greasy part which is coming out is a waste for you in that process. But interestingly, this waste is saleable in the market as a product. Why as a product? Because many businesses, many industries require this for their further use. So grease, as you know, is a lubricant. So when you go to any workshop of vehicle, they put grease in the different moving parts of your vehicle to make the moving smooth. So grease works as a lubricant. If I further process this grease, this becomes our Vaseline cream, which we use during winters. If you just look at the Vaseline bottle, below somewhere, it is written as petroleum jelly. It is not jelly, it is the petroleum waste. But again, if they call it waste, maybe we will not like buying it. So they camouflage it, they give it a catchy name. Instead of saying petroleum waste, they call it as petroleum jelly. Now understand this. So when I'm processing the crude oil, like in my this example which I was explaining here, when I'm processing my crude oil, one of the items that is emerging out of this process is a waste in my viewpoint. But in the viewpoint of the business, in the viewpoint of the market, we are terming it as byproduct. Why? Because it is acceptable as a product in the market. So why should we degrade it calling it as waste? So we also name it as a product, but to distinguish that it is not my regular product, we call it as a byproduct. So first understand, students, what a byproduct is. It is the loss, normal loss, abnormal loss, whatever you have been doing. So it is the waste arising from your processing manufacturing. Now, this waste, how it is to be treated in costing. Now, one thing is for sure, it is a saleable product. So you will get revenue by selling it. And again, the same question will arise when to sell it, whether to further process or to sell it at split off. Because this is my waste at split off point. I do some further processing, that is in the grease. I make it more better. I remove the impurities. I make it more, you can say, viewable. I put some order so that it is more smell, a better smell, so that people can apply it on their hands, legs, etc. So that becomes my further processed product, which is much better version of grease, which is Vaseline. Now again, the first decision would be whether I should convert grease into Vaseline. How? The answer is same. We can simply do this working direct method, which we just studied. What? Let us say this is that grease. So it is like a product only. So find out the sale value after further processing. Reduce the sales value at split off. You'll get how much extra revenue you'll get if you further process. Then from this, deduct that extra cost which is required for further processing, which is the further processing cost. If this difference is positive, your answer is, boss, I will further process, make it Vaseline and sell. If this had been a loss, my decision would be, no, I will not convert it into Vaseline. I will sell it as grease only. So that decision is clear, whether to sell the byproduct as grease, that is at split off point, or after further processing, that is as Vaseline. The decision will be done based on your extra profit. But the main question is, what is the treatment in costing? Now, when I'm saying treatment in costing, what do they mean is, where do I show this byproduct? The cost of the byproduct, the revenue of the byproduct. So for this, there are two approaches suggested. What are the two approaches? In order to decide the treatment, they say that check whether the sale value that you are getting of this byproduct is nominal or whether the sale value of this byproduct is significant. What is the difference? The sale value is nominal. You treat the byproduct as scrap. Sale value is significant. You treat the byproduct as joint product. Now, two questions. What do you mean by sale value nominal or significant? First question. Second question, what is treating it as scrap or treating it as joint products? Let us understand. Let me answer this first. What do you mean by treated as scrap or treated as joint product? So the answer is, here, let us say E is that grease, for example. Now, if I am charging the joint cost to all my products, including E, it means I'm considering it as a joint product. So where I'm charging the joint cost even to that byproduct, even to that waste, it means I'm treating it same like my other products. In other words, I'm not treating it as scrap. So when I say treated as joint products, means show it as a product along with your other joint products, which also means that also now charge the joint cost to them. This is the meaning of treating it as product. What is the meaning of treating it as scrap? If I have to treat it as scrap, I'm writing here, treat as scrap. What does it mean? Now I have this joint cost, which I have to charge to all the products. How much was the joint cost here? it is something 4137. So my joint cost is 41 lakhs 37,000, which I'm supposed to charge to my product. But now I'm saying treat this byproduct not as a product but as scrap. So what we do of scrap, recall your process costing. What we used to do of scrap is we used to reduce the scrap value. So I will subtract this scrap value of my product E, which is my waste, which is my byproduct, from the joint cost. And the balance joint cost, I will apportion only to my main products, my joint products. So what is the difference when you say treat it as a product? The point is you start charging joint cost to that byproduct also. What is treating it as scrap? You will not treat it as a product. You treat it as a scrap. And what is the treatment of scrap? We already studied this in process costing. You study in every chapter of costing. We reduce the scrap value of scrap from our total cost, and whatever is my net cost is charged is apportioned between my products. So I will reduce the scrap value of E. Now, how much is the scrap value of E? Since E is a profitable product after further processing, that is, I have taken a decision, I will sell it after further processing. How much sale value I'll get from E after further processing? 15 lakhs. How much is the cost of further processing? It is 150. It means E is giving me net sale value of 13 lakhs 50,000. So this 13 lakhs 50,000 is the net scrap value of E, which I will reduce. And this difference, whatever is left after this reduction, so how much it will come to? It will come to around 20. Correct? 27 lakhs 87,000. This net joint cost I will charge to my joint products, and that will be ABCD. So this is how the treatment of byproducts is suggested. Treat it as a product, as a main product, or treat it as a scrap. Firstly, have you understood the difference between the treatment? Students, this is the only slight conceptual point in this whole chapter. Everything in this chapter, everything else is simple mathematical plus minus. This is the only part where slightly the chapter has something, you can say, technical in your language. Now, I've explained you what is the meaning of this, what is the difference between treating as scrap and treating as joint products. But the question is, this treatment depends upon whether the sale value is nominal, whether the sale value is significant. Now, how do I determine that whether sale value is technical, or whether the sale value is nominal or whether the sale value is significant? How to determine this? Because depending upon whether the sale value is nominal or significant, I will decide to show it as scrap or to show it as a product. But how to determine whether the sale value is nominal or significant? The answer is simple. See, you have sale values here. For example, this. So these are my sale values of my products. Now compare these sale values. A is 50. Okay. B is 5 lakhs, C is 3 lakhs, D is 2 lakhs, and your scrap is 15 lakhs. So when you compare this with other joint products, which are your main products, you will find that the sale value of E, in fact, in this case is higher. Let us say, had it not been so much higher, for example, I'm saying had it been 180, not 15 lakhs. What will be your treatment? I will still treat it as significant. What is significant? Significant means when you compare it with your other products. Now, I'm not comparing A because A is abnormally high. A may be something very specialized product, so keep it aside. But when I look at my joint products, I find that the value of E, which is my waste or my byproduct, is somewhere near, somewhere around the value of joint products. Means, in simple words, it is like a product only. Why? Because it is giving me similar sale price. Had this been 20,000, the sale value of E, had it been 20,000. Now I will say, sorry boss, as compared to my joint products, the sale value of E is very less, very nominal. So nominal means less. So when you compare it with your other joint products, you will come to know whether this particular byproduct is having a substantial value, significant value. What is significant or substantial? It is around the same range as your other joint products. And nominal is, as compared to other joint products, the value is very less. This is what is the main key deciding factor. Now, since in our case, the value is 15 lakhs, which is a substantial value. In fact, it is much more than your joint products. It means I will treat it as my product only. So this is my treatment. Students, are you getting this? Then, sir, there will be no further processing or split off point for E. Why not, beta? See, in fact, I first started with taking a decision as to whether I have to sell grease or I have to sell Vaseline. So even for byproducts, see, what is this? You can sell it immediately when you get that waste, which is in the form of grease, or you can do some more processing, convert it into Vaseline and sell. So for byproducts also, you will have both the options. You may have both the options. And again, when you have both the options, you have to decide, okay, which one should I follow? That I will decide as per whatever we have studied. So here I have given you this last direct method. So by the direct method, I will decide, okay, what is better? So for E, when I did this calculation, I found that for E, selling it after further processing, that is after making Vaseline, is much beneficial. So I will definitely do this, Priyanshi. So why not further processing and split off? It will be correct. Good. So students, this is all about this chapter. Now what is left in this chapter is two methods. One is the margin method, which is having some calculation. And then you have some theory methods. Theory methods is you hire some expert. The expert will give you some percentage. You will apply those percentage, or you will do some analysis. And as per those analysis, you will get some ratio. So these are all theory. They are giving it only in theory form, that hire an expert, take his ratio, or do some technical analysis, take that ratio. So that is only theory that we'll discuss in the next lecture. And only one practical method left is margin method, but it is not asked multiple times, but that also will do. What are you supposed to do today is, today you will solve this sheet.
Mr. Vishal?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vishal, Dr. Sengupta this side. Just
morning, sir.
Want to speak for 1 or 2 minutes through this. Good morning.
Please, sir.
Thank you very much for explaining, different concepts. One or two things for the children, for the students, is that, this is a decision-making chapter. Not only calculation is there, but there are some sort of decision-making which is involved. Sir just was explaining that when to process, how to process, whether to process or not. And believe me, after understanding all these concepts, you will understand this all goes as per the normal understanding. So whatever your normal logic will say, all these methods are following that only. So please don't think that it's something different. Think normally. And all these concepts are following your normal understanding. Because many times you think that it may have some different things, but understand the concept, understand that what is the logic behind it, and then follow your normal understanding and practice a lot of questions. Because there are varieties of questions which comes in this particular chapter, And I'm sure that this is a very, very scoring chapter. If you practice, all type of questions are beautifully explained. I was following the lecture, beautifully explained various concepts, that how the decision making has to be taken. So accordingly you do. And past few years paper also you just see various techniques, what technique to be followed, when it is to be followed, and then whether to be further or not, allocation of the joint cost. So these are some of the side features of this particular chapter, which there are
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
that, but you always can practice. Okay, I think am I audible now?
Yes, sir. Now you are clearly audible, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So based on the past paper, you can practice those questions as well, but prepare for any kind of question. And thank you, Mr. Bishal, that you are covering everything. What is
My pleasure, sir. Sir, that is my duty,
what
sir.
is supposed to be.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you very much, and all the best to the students.
Thank you, sir. So students, what are you supposed to do today is, I have solved the first question. Now you have some more questions given here. Now these questions do not require all the methods. You have to read the question properly. You have to identify which method they are asking you to use. Like for example, in the next question, they have clearly spelled out, you have to apportion it on the basis of sales value at split off point. Correct? Similarly, when you go ahead, again, they will specify what is to be done. Like in this question, they are asking you to use 3 methods: value at split off, physical units, and even the NRV. So you have to now follow the question.
Just one thing to add, that sometime this method will not be given, and that's the time your knowledge will be tested. So that which method to be applied at what scenario, that also you should be very clear. Kindly continue, sir.
Thank you, sir. So then this one question is on direct method. Now see student, I have given the heading as direct method, but in exams, no question will come with a caption. You have to identify yourself that it is a method or it is a question of direct method. Now somebody will ask me, sir, how do we identify? See the difference. In my previous questions, you will find that you are asked multiple questions. 1, 2, 3, ABC. Here also you are asked all the 4 questions, so apportionment, profit, and then the last question is decision. So where all the questions are asked, that is, you are also required to do computation of profits, and then you are required to give your suggestion. That is the question where you do not require direct method, because you already have the workings of joint costs and profits. You can simply compare. But where only in the question, if you see here, after the entire data, only one question is asked. That will you recommend further processing? So they are asking only about further processing. They are not asking about profit at split off, profit after further. In such a case, this question becomes a question of direct method, because you have to only give your 4th answer, that is the recommendation. So here you should follow the direct method. And then this one question I have curated for showing you the difference between treatment of byproducts, whether when it is treated as main product and when it is treated as scrap, what is the difference? So all this, I will request that you please solve it today for your practice. Also solve all module sums except the sum which is on the margin method, because we are yet to study that method. Except margin, you can solve each and every sum today. So please do that. And last point, as Sen Gupta sir mentioned, that when the method is not given in the question, then which method has to be used, that is what is the key point. I will keep this question pending today, because let me allow you to first get deeper into the subject. So this question I will ask from my side, and I will expect an answer from your side in the next lecture. So we will keep this question open, what Sen Gupta sir has posed, and I want you all to now understand this topic with the practical. You can come back and tell me, sir, if method is not suggested, then this should be the method to be followed. Fine. So students, I hope you all have understood the entire chapter with all the aspects. We have covered everything today except one method and some theory. that will be done in the next class. But please practice. That is the key to any practical subject preparation. So practice thoroughly. You have your module, you have your past exam questions, but today for the time being, practice module and the question bank which I have shared. That should be sufficient for the time being. And then in your next step of practice, when you are doing for the second round, you should inculcate and include your past exam questions, the MTPs, RTPs. You have everything on our BOS portal. So that's it all for today. Thank you all. It was great interactive session. Thank you and keep studying. Best of luck. Yes, Ashok ji, we can close. Thank you.